This is your final class here, echoing across the office in various tones. Most of the class was already settled, but I felt weary, simply biding time until the lesson ended. The clock's hands seemed to mockingly crawl forward as the teacher delved into participles and gerunds, topics I couldn't muster much interest in. My mind wandered, occasionally glancing at the clock. The classroom buzzed louder than usual as the teacher traced her hand along the textbook. A brief moment of panic gripped me when the teacher mentioned my name, but it swiftly dissipated when she directed her attention elsewhere. "Now immerse yourselves in your thoughts," she said. "While it's crucial to engage and be attentive after 7 lessons, all I craved was diving into my phone. Or, better yet, my computer. Perhaps I'd brew some hot tea, escaping into the world of Ussia and Butera online. Or perhaps I'd surrender to the allure of my bed." Studying the second shift meant leaving school in the dark, especially during winter, a season that made me yearn for spring's arrival. If only people could hibernate like Medvedev, I'd gladly slumber until the blossoming of spring, or even better, the arrival of summer. The teacher's rating for this seemingly endless quarter wouldn't surpass a 3 without any concrete reason, in my opinion. My classmate with a bowed head silently echoed my sentiments. As Oksana Nikolaevna started dictating, I forced myself to focus, but distractions persistently crept in. 2 classmates from Kamchatka teased and goaded others into foolish antics, disrupting the class. The hallway bell chimed, signaling the rescue of Odnoklasniki, a gathering spot reminiscent of crowded, chaotic CX locations where we hastily gathered our belongings. Maneuvering through the throng of people in the locker room, I barely reached my coat hanger in time to swiftly put on my jacket. I felt like I was navigating through a herd of unruly baboons as everyone hurried out. My friends Vadik and Kolyan had departed hours ago, leaving me to find my own way home. Nonetheless, that detail didn't faze me. I'd manage somehow. Plugging in the earphones, he ambled homeward, feeling the stark contrast of the day's warmth, now replaced by the evening's chill. Pocketing his hands, he hastened his steps, eager to study in the peace of his mother's absence from home. Yet, despite her constant reminders, he anticipated a moment of respite upon his arrival. His anticipation quickly dissolved upon reaching the doorstep, greeted by a shroud of darkness within. A cascade of frustration escaped his lips at the unexpected power outage. Stripping down in the darkness, he navigated to the kitchen, washing his hands and preparing a couple of sandwiches. Settling at the table, a peculiar noise from the upper floor interrupted his meal. It sounded like the creak of a door, triggering a surge of unease. Living solely with his mother since his father's departure, the realization that someone might be intruding into their home sent a rush of concern through him. "Mom?" he called out tentatively, receiving a hesitant response confirming her presence, but advising him to keep distance due to an illness. The rush of worry inundated his thoughts, but a reassurance and plea for rest after a taxing day at school eventually eased his mind. Certainly, here's a rewritten version of the text while maintaining the core meaning. Feeling unwell, I recalled my mother's words about not being seriously sick. Although I yearned to relax, the power outage rendered any activity impossible. Gazing out the window, I observed several neighboring houses also devoid of electricity. It hadn't struck me when I returned from school earlier. Finding a couple of candles, I attempted to tackle my homework in their flickering light, realizing how dim it made the leisurely hours after completing all my lessons. As the clock struck 10 p.m., the hope for the light's return faded, and the necessity to freshen up for the next day became apparent. Heading to the bathroom, I was interrupted by a call from my mother's room, requesting water. Altering my plans, I rushed downstairs to fetch it, concern for her welfare surfaced as I realized she hadn't moved from her room all this time. Perhaps I should check on her. Midway, a notification from my phone startled me. A message from Mom stating her delayed return from work. Confusion clouded my mind, and before I could react, a silhouette confronted me. It stood tall, thin, and shrouded in darkness, except for two radiant eyes fixed upon me, appearing saturated with phosphorus. Its elongated face contorted unnaturally, revealing an array of razor-sharp teeth that seemed ready to burst forth. Paralyzed with fear, I found myself unable to control my body.
The story continues in the next video. Thank you for your attention.